we just kind of continue to see a rash or a host of various incidences kind of occurring throughout the country, uh, that whatever the incident may be, it always seems like it comes down to racism, and that is a huge component that we cannot seem to kind of get over, get around, get through, because someone or some entity, if you will, is always kind of correlating something to, racism.
Are you saying that that racism is a factor in these high profile um, killings, or are you saying that racism is brought up a lot as the reason, even when it's not the cause?
Both. Um, if you want to speak um, kind of specifically right now, I'll kind of talk just a brief about the most recent incident here in Minnesota, Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, where a Caucasian female officer made a drastic mistake and shot a young black male, um, and unfortunately, that young man died as a result of her
Hmm.
tragic mistake. However, being a former law enforcement officer and having the investigatory skills and things of that nature, even being an African American male and being born and raised in inner city and things of that nature. So I looked at things from all perspectives, right? I
Hmm.
just look at things from one way. I don't just have just blinders on, just looking one way. Um, I do not believe for not even 1 second that this was a racially motivated act. I do not believe that she intended to do this with any type of intent or malice, or anything of that nature. Um, However, if anyone has been following any form of social media, they have quickly saw
Hmm.
that they're brandishing her as a racist, and they're kind of comparing her situation to the current active former Minneapolis Derek Chauvin, situation. I've even seen this situation being compared to um, former Minneapolis officer, Somali officer who made a mistake a couple
Yeah.
years ago and shot and killed a Caucasian female. Um, and these are completely three totally different, scenarios and situations.
Do you think people are quick to go to racism because it's just tempting to do so, because it's infuriating and it gets people riled up, and it's just a knee-jerk reaction at this point? Or why do you think they assume racism even if there's not necessarily reason to believe it?
Well, I think that there's a few different reasons why individuals do that. I mean, when you talk about racism, you cannot negate that racism does exist. You
Uh-huh.
know, um, Historically and systematically, there's been levels of various racism, just throughout our country.
Sure.
So we have to acknowledge that. However, with that being said, um, individuals get very emotional, and they get kind of extremely fed up, especially when they're seeing um, such incidences occurring again and again and again and again throughout the country. Um, and then in some cases, we don't allow the facts, to
Hmm.
come out before, like you said, we have our emotions all riled up, and then we just have these knee jerk reactions. Again, if we kind of quickly speak about the incident in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, um, I believe that the chief of police there did a phenomenal job at holding a press conference as he went against his colleagues
Mhm.
and attempting to be transparent, releasing the video. Um, and again, depending on who you spoke to, um, they would have various, comments or remarks, in regards to, his press release. Even his colleagues, as he stated or indicated, that the BCA and Hennepin County Sheriff, you know, kind of went against,
Mhm.
him even, sharing or having this press conference.
Yeah,
You know,
they didn't necessarily want him to go out there and talk as much as he did, but he said he was a little more forthcoming than he would ordinarily have been, but given the circumstances. So you're saying he went above and beyond.
I'm saying that he did his job and
Yeah.
then some. I think that the way that I look at it as being a former law enforcement officer and having someone like that in command,
Hmm.
you know, he um, bide some time. I think he kind of, saved, a lot of property. He saved,
Mm.
potentially other people's lives because he was able to put this uh, important information out there, whether it was right, wrong, or indifferent. He was not trying to, in my opinion, trying to paint any type of narrative other than, this was a situation. The officer did make a mistake, which he acknowledged. Unfortunately, um, as you heard, if anyone watched the video or watched the when he was giving the press conference, there was a lot of questions that appeared to be kind of narrative driven, as if they're trying to just, paint something in one direction. And
Hmm.
I think that he did a phenomenal job. I don't think that for any under any circumstances, should he have resigned, I hope that his resigning was not, I should say, I hope that he was not forced out the door, by his superiors because he made this press conference. Um,
So
but
do you think maybe it was do you think maybe it was the police who the union or the people inside the law enforcement that wanted him to go because of him talking too much?
Well, I can't, say that without having any type of facts to support that.
Hmm.
However, when you look at various things that had occurred, just in such quick, rapid succession, such as, the city manager, being terminated. And there was a article that came out with a city council member stating that she really liked the city manager. She believed that the city manager was doing extremely well in his position, but she appeared to have voted with the majority to have him removed
Hmm.
because she was in fear of various forms of backlash, both personal and professional.
I assume that that the police chief resigned or was let go or forced out or whatever because people the same reason the city manager was let go because people just got to see some heads roll. They just want to see reaction. They want to see people get punished. They want to see heads roll whenever there's a mistake. Um, I don't know. So you as a from your perspective, you see this chief stand up, do a good job in your eyes, do a great job. I mean, if you argue that he prevented all this destruction and harm to people, but because he quelled the desire to riot, um, then you see him lose his job. Like, does that disturb you then? Because someone doing a really good job is let go?
It's very disheartening, for me. I mean, I've never served up under this individual's command, but to have an individual as courageous, in my opinion, as he is to do what he did, as he even, went against obviously, others that's within law enforcement and didn't stand on that podium or whatever with him. I think that he did an outstanding job, but again, I don't know, obviously all of the facts of, why he decided to resign. It could have been, that he just felt that it was just his time. But, again, just kind of looking at the circumstances, things just did not add up to me. I mean, even the mayor, when he made his press conference, he was extremely quick to say that he was all for, the firing, of the female officer, even without, again, just waiting for various facts to kind of come in, to giving this officer, her due process, and things of that nature, and
yeah, we're seeing the breakdown of a lot of like protocol, and like it seems good people losing their jobs potentially because of this desire to have to get them. We need retribution for what happened. I guess in general I see that as a troubling trend, because we want the best people in these jobs, and these are hard jobs. So if that chief of police, assuming was a great chief of police, and from what you saw, you say he did a good job, at least in this circumstance, he's no longer there. Who's going to take his place if the person isn't as good? I mean, we're going to see even worse policing potentially then, because they lost their best leader.
Well, I mean, again, the individual, that stepped in and who is now the acting chief of police, and I don't know exactly who that person is, but again, there was some information that had came out that within an hour or so, a very short period of time, I'll just put it that way, when he was announced that he was going to be the acting chief, they had him provide, information. I believe it was a press conference, if I'm not mistaken. But again, they just kind of seem to have stuck him out there, without any type of game plan,
So that may have been hasty too.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things, like you said before, a lot of things are hasty, knee-jerk reaction, on both sides of the coin. And so that's why, we just kind of continue to see, some of these reoccurring, issues and concerns throughout the country, because there just doesn't seem to be any solid plan,
I guess one just
really
hopes then that, I'm sorry, finish up.
Yeah, just to really kind of deal with these issues and concerns.
Yeah, it just seems like we need to take a collective step back, but there's no indication that that's going to happen right now, because there's so much momentum for reacting, and the video gets out there, people immediately, I don't know, it's almost like you'd have to hope people stop doing that in mass. And I don't, or that leaders don't give into the pressure, maybe, give it 24 hours before you let go of somebody or something like that. I don't know.
Well, the thing is that, a lot of things are easier said than done, right? I mean, we can sit here and Monday night quarterback a Sunday afternoon game all day about, what Tom Brady should have done and why didn't he do, and how come they lost by, 3 points. However, my thing is that, I think that both law enforcement and the community needs to be educated. I think from being a prior law enforcement officer is that most agencies, especially larger agencies, those agencies that are more active, I think that they get quality training when it kind of comes to diversity and community building and communication and what do they call it, de-escalation
Hmm.
techniques and things of that. I believe again, even when they go through their less than lethal training, with weaponry that they may have on their duty belt and things of that nature. I believe that they have and receive adequate training. Um, I don't know if they receive enough of it,